right, next up, final game for Friday night, Stanford and Hawaii. Of course, one of these teams already has a game under their belt, the Hawaii Warriors, who played like Warriors last week at Vandy, given the Commodores everything they could handle. Stanford is now just a 3.5-point road favorite on the island after this game opened at 10.5 months ago. So it has been a deluge of money on Hawaii, and even more since that game on Saturday between Hawaii and Vanderbilt. Because when that game kicked off, the number was around 7.5, with Stanford as a road favorite. And people saw that Hawaii team just give Vanderbilt everything they could handle. And now look at this number down to 3.5. And I fully agree. But the problem is I have a 7.5 in my pocket. I didn't even get the 10.5. I didn't get the best number, but I got in at 7.5. I loved Hawaii in this spot. And I said that last week on the show. And even though I cashed a ticket with Hawaii against Vanderbilt, I like this spot, this matchup even more. Problem is, so much of the value is gone. It's down to 3.5. That being said, there's nothing that could get me to take Stanford here. Really, I think it's a complete rebuild for Stanford coming into this season. When you look at it, tough times for this program. The offense was just dreadful, and the defense was probably even worse last year. They've got Justin Lamson, projected to be the new starting quarterback for this Stanford team. I don't love their skill position group. They've got all kinds of issues on the offensive line. And, of course, we know this defense was absolutely ripped to shreds last year. So it definitely looks to me like this is going to be a team that's kind of rebuilding and looking toward the future a little bit. Keep in mind there's just so many changes that this program has to deal with. And that's not going to make it easy here, especially when you consider and factor in the travel that Stanford's going to be going through for this game. And it's just a huge job. It's Troy Taylor, a new head coach. It's brand new coordinators, system changes. It's just a deluge. The team obviously had some transfer departures, including their quarterback, Tanner McKee. It's just kind of a program that I expect Stanford probably to be the worst team in the Pac-12 this season. It's just they're starting from scratch. Hawaii has shown they can compete. Last week they did on the road against bottom tier, below average Power 5 schools. We saw enough out of Shager on offense. We saw enough of the defense is still sketchy for Hawaii, but Timmy Chang has the defense playing hard, hanging in there, getting key stops. That's what they were able to do against Vanderbilt to keep them in that game. And if they could do that on the road at Vandy, I imagine they can do it here at home against a Stanford team that I don't think is even as good as Vandy, in my opinion. So I totally agree with the move. It's just a question of, do you want to bet Hawaii now at plus 3.5 when you could have had 10.5 or even 7.5 last week? What do you think here, Con?
Yeah, that is the shitty thing here. But I still think you do. I still think you take the 4 or 3.5 with Hawaii. And Stanford, Troy Taylor was really good, Sacramento. And I think maybe he can do all right. 3 games last year, basically the worst Stanford football team in a long time. They definitely need to change. They have a tough schedule. They need to beat Hawaii to win 3 or 4 games, win 4 games maybe. And I think this one could be close. You mentioned the Hawaii defense. I still think has issues. I think we get some points in this game, whether it gets over. I think it's close. I wish it was a few lower in this one. But you mentioned Shager. I thought he threw it around a little bit on Vandy. And where you want Hawaii is on the island where weird shit goes down. Flags fly, wind blows, just crazy fumbles start happening. So I'm with you here. Even down or still over the field goal, I'm leaning Hawaii.
All right, we're both leaning Hawaii. 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific on Friday night. That'll be a fun one to watch.